Ladders made in the USA. We also have plants here in China as well. Now, Little Giant ladder stands at 4 feet 7 inches tall, something you can store in your car or throw in your closet if you want to. But unlike other ladders, folks, the Little Giant ladder has the ability to telescope and stop at every rung. So each time you do this, you're going to have a different size to your ladder. Now, regular A-frame ladders, they just give you one size, right? Little Giant, I just gave you 4 different sizes with just one ladder. Now, you notice something's missing on this ladder. We don't have any of those cheap flimsy spreader bars or crossbars that pinch your fingers or off to break. That's what always breaks on those cheap flimsy ladders, right? Or those spreader bars. So we did away with all that. Everything's locked up into these hinges here at the top. Now you notice, folks, that we have rungs on both sides of the ladder. Doesn't it make more sense to have a ladder where we can get 2 people up here at the same time for over 600 pounds on this ladder? 4 hands are often better than 2 when doing your work, right? You know, that wide cleared stance at the bottom is for safety, stability, which you don't have on a conventional ladder. Even if I get off to the side where I should be, notice that that ladder still remains stable. You and I can't do that on those cheap, flimsy ladders. Now imagine with me for a sec that we're outside of your own homes, working on sloping grounds, rampways. How about inside on those staircases, folks? Have you ever tried to change the light bulb on your stairs, paint your stairwells, or get that battery out of that smoke detector? Now you can do it safely. As a matter of fact, for the last almost 40 years, this is the reason why people have bought this ladder right here. Now, if you've ever tried to get a regular A-frame ladder up against the wall or into a tight corner, if I'm the wall, the further up the ladder you climb, what's going to happen? The further you're going to get away from your work, right? Well, now with your Little Giant, we're actually going to get you right up against those walls and into those tight corners or against those shrubs or trees outside, allowing both hands free to do your work from this side. Now, should you need more extension to the ladder, simply release the hinges here at the top. Now, there's something special to note about our hinges. It's the strongest point of our ladder, tested at over 1,200 pounds. That way, when you're all the way up in the air, you know you're on the safest ladder on the planet. Now, when raising this up into the air, I always like to drop one side down, raise the wheel side up. So wheel side up so that you don't roll away. Now, watch the hinges here in the middle as they lock into place on their own for your safety, convenience, no fingers involved, no pinching involved, right? Now, like I showed you here, folks, you're not locked into one size because you can adjust the ladder at every single rung until you obtain the height that you need. So now we've got a 17-foot lean-to extension ladder. Again, that wide cleared stance at the top and bottom is for safety, stability, which you don't have on a conventional ladder. And I'm sure you folks like me appreciate the fact that we put rubber feet on both ends so that you don't scratch your walls or mar up any surfaces, right? Well, like I showed you here, folks, you're not locked into one size because you can adjust, drop, stop, and lock at every single rung to obtain the height that you need. The same thing's done here at the top. However, notice we don't use any rope, pulleys, or hooks that are obviously a nightmare to operate with, right? Now, where do you store your 17-foot ladder, you might ask? Not a problem with your Little Giant. We're going to do it all right here in this unbelievable compact space. Little Giant ladder. Now, just when you thought you've done and seen it all, out comes the insert with its own skid resistant feet. We're going to set it aside for a 4-foot truss. You take this piece, flip it around, lock the tabs into the holes behind, and now what do we have? 2 1,000-pound weight capacity trusses. With the aid of the telescoping plane, just like you have down here, we now have a time-saving scaffolding system. Now our scaffolding systems come in 3 different sizes. We have a 6 to 9 footer, and an 8 to 13 footer, and a 10 to 16 foot plank, okay? Now they're all government tested to hold well over 1,000 pounds. Place those on any of our rungs, and again, you have a nice time-saving scaffolding system. Now I'm going to put this back together for you folks, so I can show you a couple of accessories, and then we'll cut to the chase here. Now as I am putting this back together the hard way, there is a much easier way to put this back together. However, I do want to show you something important with the ladder itself. And we do have instructions that come with the ladder, so you don't have to remember all the crazy things I showed you here today. I'm going to misalign the pins here on purpose to show you that they're spring-loaded, so if they're anywhere near the holes, they lock into place on their own for your safety, convenience, no fingers involved, no pinching involved, right? Now for the accessories. How many times have you folks been outside working on unlevel ground while trying to climb your ladder? Pretty much any time you step outside, right? Now I know what you're doing or what you're going to do, folks. You're sticking rocks, bricks, or cylinders under there, right, to try to keep that level. However, on your way to the hospital, you're going to wish you had my leg leveler. You simply attach the leg leveler to the side of the ladder that's unlevel, undo the pin, slide it down, and tighten it. Now you're working on level ground. Sometimes you only need a couple inches. We're going to give you 1.5 feet to work with. But again, and that's called the leg leveler. Now the work platform is my favorite apparatus. This is much more than it appears to be, folks. Simply place this guy on any of the rungs that you're going to be doing your work, say for example right here. Slide it out of your way and walk straight up through paths. Now, how many times have you folks been all the way up here on your ladder, hanging on for dear life with one hand while you try to do your work? Have you ever tried to undo a light panel and change a bulb with one hand? And I'd love to see you hammer in the nail with one hand. Instead of doing that anymore, slide this back, and now you have both hands free to do your work. It's as though you're standing right on the floor, right? But what you're not going to have are those aching arches, ankles, and shins at the end of each day. And when you're all the way up there in the air, folks, standing on this is much more comfortable. Now this guy right here is ocean rated. He's hauled over 375 pounds. We actually test this guy at well over 500 pounds. Now when you're done, simply tuck it back in, step on top, and walk straight back down through. Folks, there's not another ladder in the world that's going to give you the strength, stability, support, and safety as a Little Giant ladder. So we're going to cut to the chase here, folks. We're also looking for distributors and manufacturers all throughout the world. If you're interested in doing that, please see one of my associates or myself, and we'll be happy to give you any other information that you might need. We also make large ladders for corporate work jobs as well. So if you have any questions, let me know. We'd be happy to take care of you. Thanks for listening.